guys, I'm going to do a video kind of about breastfeeding and exclusively pumping and kind of my road to how I got here and what it is we're doing now. I attempted to breastfeed and I breastfed all three of my kids in the hospital. As soon as I got home from the hospital with Brian, I switched to the bottle. I had some formula that the hospital had given me, and I had a pump that someone had given to me to use. And I attempted to pump breast milk, but I didn't have a lot of support, and things were obviously very chaotic when Brian was born, and I ended up just switching to formula. With Wyatt, I went into it thinking, I'm going to do it this time, I'm going to breastfeed, you know, I got this, and it was miserable, and things didn't work out, and with him being in the hospital, and being on the NG tube, and not needing to work for food, by the time he got off it, he didn't want to work for food, and he didn't want a nurse, and I ended up going with exclusively pumping breast milk for him, because then I was still able to give him breast milk, but I was able to do it in a bottle, and it was no longer a battle, you know, trying to get him to nurse. Not to mention the fact that I have very large breasts to begin with, and then you fill them full of milk, and I have huge boobs, and I make tiny little babies. I mean, Wyatt was my biggest baby, and he was 6 pounds 9 ounces, so I make little babies and big boobs, and they don't, it makes it just more difficult. But the Dahlia, I decided I was going to kind of take it as it comes. I would nurse while I was in the hospital, and then when I got home, I would switch to exclusively pumping like I did with Wyatt, and do my best to make it to 1 year with no formula and just breast milk. I had problems with my supply with Wyatt, and right at the 3-month mark when I went back to work, my supply tanked, and I had to start supplementing with formula, and that really upset me because it really was important to me that he get the breast milk and that I'd be able to provide it for him. So this time I was going to just take it as it comes and not make any solid decisions, see what works for Dahlia, see what works for me, and whatever makes us happy, that was what I was going to do. So I still was planning to nurse in the hospital and then start pumping when I got home. I didn't want to bring my pump with me to the hospital because I didn't want that one extra thing to try and bring back home with me when we went home. But she started cluster feeding, and I was up all night long. Was that Tuesday night? And I gave up. And I don't want to say I gave up. I didn't give up completely on nursing. I gave up on just nursing and leaving the pump at home. And I messaged my husband, and when you come in Wednesday morning, please God bring my pump. I can't take it anymore. I'm miserable. I'm not bonding with her the way that I want to, because I'm cringing every time she starts rooting around and wanting to breastfeed, because my nipples hurt. They were on fire. She was constantly attached to my boob, and I was miserable. And I know that that doesn't make for a healthy breastfeeding relationship or a healthy bonding time with my child if I'm constantly miserable. So he brought the pump in. I had one nurse that was really kind of she was a bitch about it, to be honest, and was really kind of giving me crap because it wasn't a hospital grade pump and she could get one of their pumps. But I have the Medela pump in style. It's a great pump. It works wonderfully, and I have a huge supply right now, so obviously my pump was good enough. But then I had another nurse that was awesome and said, you do what you gotta do. You do what makes you and baby happy so that you guys can bond and, you know, have a healthy relationship, and she gets what she needs. So that's what I did. I brought the pump in. I wasn't pumping much, just a little bit of colostrum. I was actually hand expressing more colostrum than I was actually pumping it, but I still wanted to use the pump just to get that extra nipple stimulation so that my milk would come in. And I would just give her whatever I had in a bottle, and then when the bottle was gone and she was still hungry, then I would nurse her. And we did that up until we went home. We got home, I started pumping more. At that point my milk had come in on the 4th day of that Thursday that we went home. my milk came in that night and I was getting quite a bit, so I started a pumping schedule. I pumped every 4 hours. You should probably pump every 2 or 3 hours in the beginning, but I wanted something that was realistic and that I felt that I could stick to and not be overwhelmed and want to give up on. And I knew that 4 hours worked well for me in the past, so 4 hours is what I went with, and it has worked very well for me. Overnight, depending on my mood, if I'm not too completely and totally exhausted, I will pump. Sometimes just out of sheer laziness, I will nurse her. She doesn't nurse very often anymore. It's once in a while. It really is when I'm lazy and don't feel like getting up and getting the bottle or getting up and pumping, and it's just easier to hook her up to the boob and let her do the work. She has no problem switching between breast and bottle. There's been no nipple confusion whatsoever, and she's on mostly bottles, and she has pacifiers. She has a couple different kinds of pacifiers, but absolutely no nipple confusion whatsoever. She has no problem latching, has no problem breastfeeding. So it just comes down to when I want to breastfeed. Like I said, basically when I'm too lazy to do anything else, I just pop her on the boob and we go, and it works well. I'm very lucky that way. My supply has been amazing this time. I am pumping and freezing so many bags of breast milk. It's insane. I keep 5 of the 4-ounce Playtex drop-in bottles in the fridge at all times with breast milk, aside from whatever she's currently eating. But I fill up those 5 bottles, and then whatever's left over I put into freezer bags and freeze upstairs here in the regular freezer, and then I put them into really big Ziploc baggies and put them downstairs in our deep freeze, which is huge, thank God, because we've already filled up quite a, like a little chunk over here. I'll show you, take it downstairs and show you. It's going to fill up fast, and I'm not really sure at what point I'm going to just stop freezing milk and start using what's in there. I haven't made that decision yet. Adelia's only a month old, and we still have 11 months worth of, at least 11 months that I want to provide breast milk for her. So, but it's going well. It's a happy medium for me. I still occasionally nurse. I don't get that bonding feeling during nursing that people talk about and say that that's why it's so important to nurse. I find nursing overwhelming, and I don't know how to explain it. You feel awful because you feel like you should be bonding, and it's beautiful and it's wonderful and it's skin on skin contact, and I just don't feel that way. I feel overwhelmed and I feel frustrated, and I want to take a nap, and I can't take a nap because I have to nurse the baby. Maybe it's a selfish thing, but it doesn't make me feel good, and then in turn affects my relationship with my kids, and to me that doesn't make nursing worth it. The pumping, however, I do, and I do well, and I'm comfortable with it. Nobody likes having to go hook up to a pump every 4 hours, but I'm fine with it, and I'm happy with it, and I'm still providing breast milk for my daughter, and that feels good. And for me, that's the bonding, is providing that breast milk, nourishing her body with my body, basically. What I put into my body comes out in that breast milk, and then I give it to her, and I can see her grow. Because right now she's at a point where some of the newborn clothing that did not fit her when we got home a month ago is now too small, and she's starting to get too long for it, and I'm going to have to start packing some of that away, which is right there, that could make you cry. But that to me is the bonding, that giving her my breast milk, giving her that nourishment, and seeing, like, physically being able to see her grow and thrive. And for me, that's why I do it. That's why I pump. That's why I enjoy what I do, and why I make the choices that I've made. I know it's not for everybody. Nursing's not for everybody. There's nothing wrong with formula. I have formula fed both kids. I will more than happily give Adelia formula if that's what we need to do at some point. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I will very happily continue to give her breast milk as long as my body allows. At this point, I am pumping about 70 ounces a day. I realize average is between like 25 and 35 ounces a day. At most, for most women, kind of at their peak, I'm a month in and I do 70. Anywhere between 70. My most was 85 ounces in one day. I have not reached that again. The closest I got was 82 ounces. Yesterday I did 79 ounces, so I have a ridiculous supply. I am taking advantage of everything that I have. I'm freezing it all, and at least it'll be there in case my supply decides to go south again. And will hopefully get us as close to a year, and maybe even past a year, with at least some breast milk, which is what's important to me. I've even given Wyatt a few. Breast milk is a natural laxative, and sometimes Wyatt needs a little help. He eats a lot of dairy products and drinks a lot of milk, and that can be really constipating. And we have stuff like a fiber drink for him that we mix with his milk, but he loves the taste of breast milk. He loves watching Mommy make the milk, and I put a little, he'll ask me for some in a sippy cup, and he'll drink it, and he'll, delicious, which is hilarious when a 2-year-old says the word delicious, but it works. You know, give him a couple ounces of breast milk and cleans him out. So I will take you downstairs and I will show you my freezer supply. And I'll just show you really quick. This is one of my regular freezers upstairs. Here is, let's see, like a day and a half's worth of milk there that I stack and freeze it. And then down here you can see some of the Ziploc baggies. You don't need to go in there. There's a couple of the Ziploc baggies right next to my ice that I'll have Brian take down to the deep freeze and put away. Okay, here is our big deep freeze down in the basement. We have kind of a scary old farmhouse basement, so please excuse the dark, dank scariness. Hey, what are you doing?
I'm going.
You're gonna go in there? Okay. Ooh. If I can get that to stay up. Probably not. Alright, so in here, as you can see, is lots and lots and lots of bags of breast milk. I kind of cleaned out down here. I don't know if you can see, there's another drawer here that I'm going to have Brian put milk in. And then I cleaned out the bottom so that we can start stacking the breast milk there. I don't know if you can see. There's a shelf. Yeah, you can't see. There's a shelf anyway that's like half a shelf where this is, and it goes halfway up the freezer. And then we stack these in here, and there's, I don't even know how many. I wish I could show you. Maybe I can move some stuff around. Okay, now you can kind of see that there's that half shelf there, and that is stacked full of bags of milk. So yeah, we already filled that in the last month, and then I've got these 2 shelves that we can put more milk in, and then I've got the bottom of the freezer there that we will just stack full, and hopefully still leave some room for food in this freezer. This is my cute little pumpkin buddy. Say hi, Adelia. She sits here in her chair next to me sometimes while I pump. And just listens to the music while I play, and we pump, and we have a good time. She's too busy looking at the stove light. Adelia! Hey! Baby girl! Hello! Hi! What are you doing? Not looking at you, Mom. Not looking at you. Alright, I just got done pumping, and I thought I would show you my setup. This is the kitchen counter next to the stove where I keep everything set up, and I can just easily pull up here in a chair and sit, pump, get it done and get out. And keeping everything quick is kind of one of the ways I keep myself motivated and pumping and doing what I gotta do. This is my pump. It's the Medela pump and style with the backpack carrier. This would be my hands-free pumping bra. Obviously it's homemade. It was an old sports bra that I had, and it was pretty torn up, and there's holes in the side, and the elastic is shot in it. So instead of throwing it away, I decided to use it for pumping. As you can see, I cut a hole here in the nipple area, and then you put the flange on, stick it through here, and attach the rest of the pumping parts to it. And it holds everything in place. That way I have 2 hands free to either take care of Adelia, who's getting fussy next to me here, or play with my phone or whatever to keep myself occupied and to convince me to pump a little bit longer. So I'll show you what's in my pump, what I keep with me. Here is just some breast wipes that I keep. It doesn't matter what brand or whatever, just whatever package I can find cheap. I keep them around. Things get a little messy, and it's nice to have a wet wipe to kind of wipe yourself and your pump parts up. This little pocket up here, I've got breast pads in case I need new ones, and I have a steamer bag. It's the Medela Quick Clean Micro Steam Bag. And you just put your pump parts in here and a little bit of water, like 2 ounces of water, and throw it in the microwave. And there are instructions on the back that tell you exactly how to do it and how long you need to do it for. There's a nifty little cross-off thing here. Every time you use it, you cross off one of these, and it's worth 20 uses. So I still have the same box that I had from Wyatt because I never went through all those steamer bags because you can reuse them 20 times. So they're a little expensive, but they're not bad considering how many times you can use one bag over and over again. It's not too big of a deal. And then in this bigger part, I keep just little odds and ends. I've got some vitamin drops here for Adelia because she is breastfeeding and she needs the extra. Wish my camera would focus. Anyway, she needs the extra vitamin D and iron that apparently they don't get enough of in breast milk. I don't know. That's just what the doctor told us to do with the kids. I've got my lily pads cleansing stuff here. I'll show you my lily pads in a minute. I keep this here so that I can wash them in the sink and then set them out to dry with all the other bottle stuff that's next to the sink. Just a couple of lids for the bottles. I don't even know what that is. Oh, instructions for a bottle we don't use. Some nipple cream, because even with pumping you can get sore nipples, and this stuff is really helpful. I've got some extra pumping bags here that I was given as a baby gift. These are the ones that hook up to your pump and you can pump right into the bags, which I haven't tried yet, but seems like a pretty nifty deal. Just some lotion because my hands get dry, and if you guys have watched my videos, you know how neurotic I am about my hands and my lips and stuff being dry. There should be, yep, a bottle of hand sanitizer and a hairband. I've got a book in here called Exclusively Pumping Breast Milk. It's kind of a little guide to help me out. Somebody's getting fussy. And a nursing cover just in case I feel the need to cover up if we've got company or I'm just getting annoyed with people coming and bugging me while I'm pumping. And then in this back pocket here I have extra membranes for the pump because you should change those like once a month. So I keep those in here so I know where they are at all times. Alright, here's the rest of my pumping stuff. I use 2 big bottles. Like I said, I just pumped, so these are still dirty. I haven't washed them yet. They're just regular old everyday Gerber bottles that Wyatt had used and I had left over. I need the big ones. These are 9 ounces, but they hold up to 10 ounces. And yeah, I pump a lot of breast milk, so I need the bigger bottles to pump into. Otherwise, I spend a lot of time turning the pump off and turning it back on. My flanges and all that good stuff. I got a couple bottles here ready to fill. Here's my pile of lily pads. These are my favorite breast pads. I wear these more than anything else just because they're reusable and they stick right to you instead of going all over your bra and getting lost. They stick right to your nipple and they don't move and they stay put and you don't leak and you don't waste any milk, so that's definitely a plus and I love them. I keep them out here, and there's the soap that I use to wash them because I can just wash them in the sink really quick and put them out to dry next to all of the other bottle stuff, and as soon as they dry, they're tacky again, and you just stick them on your boob like a pasty. They're not the most attractive thing. They have new fancy styles coming out now, but they work pretty well. And there I keep all the little inserts that go into these drop-in bottles, and my ridiculous amount of freezer bags for pumping, because I do a ridiculous amount of milk every day and I freeze a lot. I have both kids calling me. I'll be right back.